I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Right. Every time that a celebrity gets like one DM that says KYS, they're like, I'm getting death threats! Someone save me, but not a prince! Don't.
Anybody but a prince!
Don't you dare save me.
She's like, I'm getting these death threats, and the cops were like, well, save yourself.
I was in the woods in London when a man with a camera suddenly appeared. I was confused as to what he was doing, as there were apple-flavored snacks scattered throughout the set. I am going to say that it is as though they are unaware of my situation, and there will be a plethora of stories that will emerge from the set about how difficult I am to work with, simply because I do not want Apple, or remunerate your actors and writers. My God, Rachel Zegler, please refrain from speaking. You are the sole individual responsible for the demise of this film, which is already deceased. Have you ever witnessed a Hollywood celebrity turn on their own fans? This is precisely what is transpiring with Snow White star. I am Rachel Zegler, and the situation is becoming increasingly chaotic. We have all the details on the escalating controversy and Disney's chaotic response. In today's video, we will dissect how Zegler is attributing her downfall to fans, the multi-million-dollar losses she claims, and Disney's frantic attempt to save the Snow White remake from PR disasters to an emergency reshoot. Stay tuned. This is a catastrophe unlike any other. Is it the end of Zegler's career, or is it possible for Disney to reverse the situation?
Rumors are swirling around now that Disney is canceling the Snow White remake, or they're hiring a new actress to replace Rachel Zegler after backlash against the comments that she made about the movie.
Everybody remain calm. It's happening. Like we've been begging for months since she started doing interviews about Snow White. Disney officially fires Rachel Zegler.
Not to add fuel to the Rachel Zegler Oscar fiasco, but why did they have these women, all Disney princesses, all stated as Disney princesses, come out to present, but like not include Rachel Zegler?
The Rachel Zegler controversy has become a hot topic in recent months, especially after her exclusion from a high-profile event where other Disney princesses were celebrated. The recent Oscars debacle only seemed to further fan the flames. As Disney introduced a group of princesses to present awards at the ceremony, all of whom had roles tied to iconic Disney characters, many were left wondering why Zegler, who is set to portray Snow White in Disney's upcoming live-action remake, was conspicuously absent. It's not as if they were only honoring actresses from past Disney projects. Some of the films associated with the presenters haven't even been released yet. This led fans to question the deliberate omission of Zegler, who ironically was the only actress among them to have had a hit film this year. Her absence has sparked speculation that Disney may be distancing itself from her. But the question remains why. At the time of her casting as Snow White, Zegler seemed to be riding high. She had starred in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, earning critical praise and a Golden Globe for her performance. However, in the months following, her public image began to take a hit. A series of social media posts and interviews, initially seen as quirky and candid, began to be interpreted as out of touch and even arrogant. Fans who had once eagerly anticipated her portrayal of the iconic princess found themselves rethinking their stance. When Zegler made a number of controversial statements during interviews and social media exchanges, the downfall appeared to accelerate. Instead of addressing or softening her tone in response to criticism, Zegler doubled down, portraying herself as a victim of online hate and misunderstanding. For many, her attempts at defending herself came off as tone-deaf, further alienating a portion of her fanbase. Some fans even accused her of lacking humility, suggesting that she wasn't appreciating the magnitude of the opportunity she had been given to play such a beloved character as Snow White. The public backlash, particularly from Disney loyalists, has been severe. Fans who were once charmed by her openness and authenticity began to see her statements as divisive and arrogant. One of the biggest issues appears to be the growing perception that Zegler doesn't respect the role of Snow White or the legacy of Disney princesses in general. In one interview, she made offhand comments about Snow White being outdated and problematic. While she may have been attempting to address the modern adaptation of the story, the remarks were poorly received. Disney fans, particularly those who hold the classic character in high regard, felt that her comments showed a lack of understanding and appreciation for the significance of playing such an iconic role. The controversy snowballed from there, with various fan groups expressing their discontent and some even calling for her to be recast. Speculation about Disney's decision to distance itself from Zegler became more intense after she was unceremoniously dropped from several high-profile projects. Some believe that Disney, wary of further backlash, felt it was necessary to remove her from the spotlight in order to protect its brand. The company has a long-standing reputation for maintaining a family-friendly, polished image, and Zegler's increasingly controversial behavior was beginning to clash with that ethos. There are even whispers that Disney is considering reshooting parts of Snow White or altering the marketing strategy to minimize Zegler's presence in promotional material. While it's impossible to know for sure what discussions have taken place behind closed doors, the optics are telling. Zegler's fall from grace has been swift, and the decision to leave her out of the Oscars princess lineup seemed to be the final nail in the coffin, symbolizing her estrangement from Disney. What was once an exciting career trajectory now looks uncertain, as both her fanbase and industry insiders seem to be questioning whether she can recover from this series of public missteps. Ultimately, whether Zegler's exclusion was a strategic move on Disney's part or simply an oversight remains unknown. But the situation underscores just how quickly public opinion can shift and how the world of Hollywood can turn on a rising star in the blink of an eye.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed of this because I chose a filter that made me look pink as hell. But you thought you did something. But you know what you really got?
Rachel Zegler's public relations crisis has reached a new level, and instead of calming the storm, she seems to be fueling it even further. What initially began as defensive comments about her portrayal of Snow White has now escalated into a full-blown attack on her critics. Rather than acknowledging any valid points from her detractors or addressing fan frustration, Zegler has taken an aggressive stance, directly blaming the backlash on Snow White's most dedicated fans. In an extraordinary move, she has labeled her critics as misogynists, sexists, and opponents of progress, alienating the very fan base that Disney relies on to support its films. Zegler's approach has sparked widespread outrage, as her comments have been perceived as dismissive and combative. Instead of showing understanding or remorse for the missteps that led to the controversy, Zegler has painted all criticism as part of a targeted attack against her. This broad brush labeling of her detractors has alienated not just casual moviegoers but also Disney's most loyal followers. Fans who had once supported her and looked forward to the Snow White remake now feel insulted by her accusations, which many see as an attempt to deflect blame from her own behavior. What's even more shocking are reports from insiders that Zegler is preparing to release an official statement that will double down on this divisive narrative. Sources suggest that she plans to openly attack her critics once again, branding them as a loud, toxic minority responsible for her recent struggles. This audacious move has left many people, both within the entertainment industry and among her fans, wondering if Zegler is intentionally provoking a boycott or backlash. With her PR already in a tailspin, this scorched earth strategy could be disastrous, not just for her career but for Disney's Snow White remake, which is already facing significant challenges. The situation has now escalated into a corporate nightmare for Disney. Under the leadership of CEO Bob Iger, the company has found itself in an unprecedented crisis. What was once a highly anticipated live-action remake of Snow White has devolved into a full-blown public relations disaster. Disney, which typically prides itself on maintaining a wholesome and family-friendly image, now finds itself associated with a star whose comments have caused widespread division among its core audience. Behind the scenes, Iger and his executive team are reportedly in panic mode, holding emergency meetings almost daily to address the growing problem. The company is scrambling to figure out how to distance itself from Zegler's increasingly toxic reputation while still salvaging the multi-million-dollar production. The stakes are high, as Snow White was expected to be one of Disney's tentpole releases, with massive investments in marketing and production already in place. Zegler's ongoing public meltdown has created a situation where Disney is caught between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, completely distancing itself from Zegler could lead to even more backlash, especially from those who support her progressive stance. On the other hand, continuing to stand by her risks alienating a large portion of Disney's core audience, many of whom are deeply invested in the company's legacy and its beloved characters. It's almost as if Zegler is daring fans to walk away, dragging the project's reputation down with her. If this strategy backfires, it could not only damage her career but also deal a serious blow to Disney's carefully curated brand. As Zegler seems poised to release more controversial statements, the entertainment world waits to see whether Disney can contain the damage or if this controversy will continue to spiral out of control, pulling Snow White and the company further into a public relations crisis.
Why is Disney in a full-blown panic mode? With the cancellation of The Acolyte and record-breaking hits like Deadpool and Wolverine, Disney is scrambling to salvage its
Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, two of Hollywood's most prominent stars, are reportedly clashing behind the scenes, causing tension that could potentially derail the marketing for Disney's highly anticipated Snow White remake. With just 7 months to go before the film's release, the situation has escalated to the point where Disney CEO Bob Iger is facing a critical decision: either force a reconciliation between the two actresses or risk scrapping the entire project. This brewing feud could have far-reaching consequences, not only for the film's success but also for Zegler, Gadot, and Disney itself. Rumors suggest that the source of the chaos centers around Rachel Zegler, who has been embroiled in controversy for months. While Gadot has maintained her reputation as a beloved and bankable star, Zegler's public image has taken a sharp nosedive due to a series of contentious remarks and ongoing social media missteps. Insiders are now speculating that Disney is becoming increasingly fearful of the growing backlash surrounding Zegler. Some executives are even reportedly discussing ways to diminish her involvement in the marketing campaign or bury her role entirely. This is no longer just about managing Zegler's controversial behavior, it's about survival for Disney. The studio is in damage control mode, as Zegler's continuing controversies have placed an enormous strain on the project. With every new statement or social media post from Zegler sparking fresh outrage, Disney is left scrambling to protect the film and, more importantly, the company's broader reputation. Some reports indicate that Iger's team is even considering cutting ties with Zegler altogether in a quiet, behind-the-scenes effort to shield Disney from the inevitable fallout. However, this approach presents a precarious dilemma. If Disney pulls back too obviously, the move will likely confirm the very PR disaster they are trying to avoid, further stoking the flames of controversy. On the other hand, if they fail to act swiftly enough, Zegler's spiraling public relations mess could drag the entire project and possibly Iger's leadership down with it. The clock is ticking, and with the film's release date looming, Disney faces a race against time to contain the situation. The stakes couldn't be higher. Snow White was supposed to be one of Disney's marquee releases, a chance to revitalize a beloved classic and cement the company's legacy. Now, with Zegler at the center of a growing PR storm and tensions rising with Gadot, the future of the film and Disney's reputation hangs in the balance.
The doomed Snow White movie looks like the budget is going to come in just about $300 million.
Rachel Zegler, she was appointed to portray Snow White in the Disney live-action film. The only problem is she dislikes Snow White. She didn't like it. Oh, it's so frightening and it's not feminist enough for her, right? I don't need a savior to save me. I get it, Rachel. I really do. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she knows no prince is going to save her. She understands that, but this is Snow White. It's a fairy tale. We grew up on it like everything else that's ancient. Maybe there are some issues. If women don't need saving anymore, then why audition? Let's speak about money. Zegler has outright blamed fans for costing her a staggering $20 million in potential earnings. According to her, it was the backlash from her social media meltdowns that triggered a massive financial hit as Disney quickly distanced itself from the embattled star. But Zegler isn't shouldering any of the responsibility. Instead, she's doubling down, pointing the finger at her critics while failing to recognize that her own behavior played a significant role in the fallout. Meanwhile, Disney, eager to wash its hands of the controversy, has replaced her with Gal Gadot for all major holiday performances, discreetly transitioning Zegler out of the forefront. The fact that Disney would make such a high-profile transfer during the crucial holiday season speaks volumes. Zegler has become more of a liability than an asset. It's a humiliating fall from grace for the adolescent actress, and her relentless attacks on fans are only excavating the wound deeper. As if Zegler's PRC catastrophe wasn't enough, Disney is grappling with struggles across multiple divisions, and the Snow White remake has become a symbol of the company's broader crisis, confronting not just reshoot but escalating fan backlash. The entire enterprise is teetering on the verge of collapse. Disney is investing millions into resuscitating the film, but every attempt to salvage it seems to explode up in their face. The combination of Zegler's public implosion and the calamitous state of the remake has left Disney in a near impossible position. Bob Iger's strategy of eliminating budgets and reducing costs is backfiring, as even the company's desperate last-minute efforts to salvage Snow White are falling flat. The fan indignation is only growing noisier. Social media is a conflagration with criticism, and the future of the initiative appears increasingly bleak. Disney is running out of options, and the fallout from this debacle could ripple across the entire brand. What do you think? Can Disney pull off a last-minute miracle, or is this project doomed from the start? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed today's breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Woke Informate for more updates on the latest entertainment controversies. See you in the next one.